welcome to Becky's House of Sewing. This is my house. This is where I sew. We have all things thread and needle as usual, mostly cross stitch and a little quilting, though I have done no quilting whatsoever. Haven't gotten my sewing machine turned on in a while. I need to go talk dirty to it or something. I hope you enjoyed that. So today's Wednesday, April 6th, 2022. Seems kind of crazy that we're in April already. I have some exciting things to talk about and some slightly scary, not so fun things to talk about. So, where to begin? Let's start with the stitching, shall we? Come join me on a journey. So I was very close to finishing Token of Fall, as we have discussed last week, and I got a little obsessed with it over the week. Now, there were several days where I just didn't touch anything at all, but there were a couple nights where I was like, oh, I just ended up staying up too late. I was like, I could do one more little thing. I could do one more little thing, and before I knew it, it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't do any more things. I had to get some sleep. So this is where I have gotten for a token of, isn't it pretty? Isn't it pretty? So pretty. So what I have left to do is filling in the bird. So there's still some blue area that needs to be filled in, and some back stitching on the leaves to kind of get the veins in there. And there's a little space between the acorn and the beak that needs some black stitches. Totally had this prepped so that I could finish it during stitching today. And then I had my morning coffee and I was sitting in front of the TV, got everything set up, awaiting the crew to arrive, the stitching crew to arrive on Zoom, and got watching Maximum Cross Stitch Power Hour, which is a fantastic Flosstube. I highly recommend it. Very sarcastic, some swear words upon occasion, which delight me, of course. However, so Maximum Cross Stitch Power Hour is done by, now I'm not going to remember her name, and that's embarrassing because she's famous. She is a singer in, now I'm not going to remember any of it. That's hilarious. Okay, so it's a band from the 90s, and it is Crash Test Dummies. So Crash Test Dummies, she's a singer in Crash Test Dummies. She was just recently on tour. In the Charlotte area, I still did not go. It's complicated, people, but still, regardless. So I sat down to drink some coffee and watch some of her. And then I started looking at the 3-tier cart next to me where I have some things because I'm fantasizing. I'm very close. What do I do next? Now, the good news is I heard from the attic last week, and the Mrs. Campbell's Hands Across the Sea chart and kit was coming to me. So I knew that was coming to me, and I was all excited because I wanted to get this done so I have a nice clean start and I can start on that right away. But I just couldn't help myself. So what's a girl to do but start something new? Yeah, so I didn't stitch on Token of Fall at all during stitching, which is hilarious to me. I picked up this little guy. He is a kit that I got, so it has everything with it. That's what a kit means, Ron. So it comes with the thread, the fabric, and the little blue pom-pom trim. So you can put it all together. Sometimes kits come with needles. This one did not. So it's usually you could just grab a kit and literally start stitching, pull it out of the bag. So it's like, you know what, that's small. I'm going to tackle that. So this is what I did during stitching. Isn't that cute? So it's just compare and contrast. So pretty fast. It's a little guy. Little bunny. it's Easter time. It's worth it. But Mrs. Campbell did come. All right, so this is Mrs. Campbell. So this is the beloved chart style. So Hands Across the Sea always, they do a lot of reproductions, samplers, which means that they've purchased or acquired somehow samplers from like the 1800s or later. And there's a whole big business. A lot of people, a lot of designers will purchase old samplers and reproduce them. And Hands Across the Sea usually does like a big pamphlet book, but they started doing this spiral bound book so that I'm going to flip to a page that doesn't have any chart on it. So you can just kind of flip through it and have a quarter of the page on there. Here's some stitches options there. Nice, see? So it's nice to flip around. The chart is in color, but it's nice and exploded, so I usually prefer a black and white chart. It just, to me, helps see the symbols a little bit better. See, look at all those symbols. 27 colors, people. 27. So, I got it from the attic. I was all excited. I got the whole kit, as I said. So, let me turn this around. So, here's the thread pack. Look, these, because they're silks, they're 103s. I forget what they call them. Hold on. Swal 103s, which I think just means silk in French, and they're 103, and I believe that's talking about the thickness of the thread. Now, I am not an expert in silks whatsoever, so I can't guarantee that, but I'm very excited. Look at this yellow right here. Look at that. Look at those pinks. I'm very excited. It is going on Tabby Cat, so I literally got everything that the model was stitched on. This is Tabby Cat 46 count. Ron, do you know what 46 count means? So, in linen, which is my preferred fabric. Look how pretty that is. Isn't that pretty? It's hand-dyed linen. There's a lot of linen companies out here. Tabby Cat is a new one that has been made popular by Hands Across the Sea. They've done several of their newer pieces on Tabby Cat linen. Okay, so Tabby Cat, let me pull this out. So let's see if I can get a close-up. So you see there's a warp and a weft to linen. It's an even weave that we stitch on, which means the same count of weft and warp threads. And I have a great cousin, her name is Neil, and she is a weaver, so I'm sure she will correct me if I am incorrect. But even weave means that there's an even amount of weft and warp threads. And the count of threads is per inch. So, the more thread count per, the higher the thread count, the more threads per inch. So this has 46 little tiny linen threads per inch, which if you stitch one thread over two threads, which means one of these over two of these, that's going to give you 23 stitches per inch, which essentially, I say that all to say, it's going to be small. I would say like the lower the count thread, the bigger the holes, and it's a little easier to see. So again, 46 count is small. It's a tighter weave typically. Let me just show you. This is 36 count, and see how you can kind of see a little bit behind it. So there's 28 count, there's 30 count, 32 count, 40 count, 46, 52, 56. It can get really small. So the more stitches per inch, the smaller the finished piece is. So if I were to do the same chart, if I was supposed to do this chart on 28 count versus 46, let's see, I think it gives me the different sizes here. So if I were to do it on 28 count, it would be 19 inches wide by 16 inches tall. And on 46 count, it's going to be 12 inches wide and 9 inches tall. So you can kind of see the difference there in size. I'm so excited. I just love the phrase in there. So it was discovered and researched that this is Mrs. Campbell Oben. Oben is where she is from. Mrs. Campbell was a teacher, a needlework teacher back in the day in 1805. I mean, isn't that amazing? 1805. So her piece has survived from 1805 to 2022 and is still in good condition. And now people are remaking her piece because it's so pretty. Just think, what am I going to make that in 200 years somebody else is going to duplicate? Kind of cool, right? Anyway, I digress. But she's pretty sure that she was a needlework teacher because of the phrase. It says, keep your work clean and pay attention to it. Indeed I shall, Mrs. Campbell Oben. Indeed I shall. So I will get that started, I know, because it calls to me. I'm very excited. I do want to finish my bunny now. I'm very close to being done with that. I probably will finish working on this tonight. And then I will go back to Token of Fall. Get that bird all whipped up into shape. And then I need to, they did not serge all sides of this. So they just cut the linen from the original piece that they got. So they serged one side. The original piece, I'm sure like the whole yard of linen was serged. So I need to, this is what happens if you don't keep your work clean and pay attention to it. So I am going to whip this through my sewing machine, do a little zigzag on it. I really should get the serger out. I've never used the serger. I've been afraid of it. I know one should not be afraid of their machines. I should just have it out and play with it. What's the worst that can happen, right? It can all get fixed. But I have not had, what it really comes down to is I have not had the brain power to think about it. So that's all the exciting stuff in the stitching world. So I'm really, really excited. I have a new project to get started. Another project, two projects to finish. And I'm thinking, I mean, I did buy all that stuff for the Dutch sampler from, hello from Liz Matthews again. But I think I just want to do something different. But I will likely get that going soon. Remember the brown linen? Yeah, I do too. I have everything pretty much ready. I just need to whip it on some of these scroll frames. Get it going, people. And then I also, like, I have a lot of projects. I should not have to buy anything for a little bit. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe for the next little season, say maybe till my birthday, I will not buy any more cross stitch and see what I can get accomplished. So we'll go with that. We'll see how long that lasts. I'm not going to have to pay anybody fees if I break that rule, though. So, rules were made to be broken. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so on to a little bit of a life update and a little bit of the scary, sad news. All right, well, not so scary. My mom has a little sore throat. So please send some healing vibes her way. Need my mommy to get feeling better. So she was not at stitching today because she didn't want to have to use her voice because it was sore. I know when I have a sore throat, nothing is better than a popsicle. So I hope she has some popsicles or frozen margaritas or something to sip on. Ease that pain a little bit. I have a very dear friend of mine who has been in some serious medical conditions and is still not 100% out of the woods. And in true fashion of this friend, she is all over the place medically. If it's strange, it's going to happen. So in many ways, she is fighting for her life, and that has been very scary for me because she's my age. I mean, of course, I'm older than she is, much, much older. I was born in July. She was born in November. Yeah, so it's been a little scary. So please say a prayer for her as well. She certainly needs it. Most of all, right now, she has some pretty severe swelling in her hand. That is pretty threatening. So they, again, don't have any good answers. So pray for swelling to go down, if I was going to be specific, please. And yeah, that would feel like enough, right? Except I had to, as I was leaving for stitching, we were all saying goodbye, having ready for lunch kind of thing. My doggy, Buster Brown, had an incident. He is had his third seizure now. So the first one was several months ago, and we were hoping it was a one-off, but apparently he did the same thing a couple of days ago. Mike did not see the incident, but he was making the same howling noise. So he's either having strokes or seizures. He is fully recovered. You may be hearing him barking in the background. So he is doing okay, but he is a senior dog, and this is kind of what happens. But, you know, just we have an appointment into the vet in a couple weeks. We'll keep monitoring it, of course, but we need to just understand what to expect a little bit, and when to know when he's had enough. So he is fine, let me assure you. He's barking in the background. He's his normal self. He's had some food to eat and had kind of afterwards, he, I wouldn't say he was 100%, but when we came back from dinner with Mike's mom, he was his old self. I wouldn't have known something had happened. So that's the good news. The bad news is he's had 2 within a week. So, yeah, there's a lot. 2021 and 2022 have been a lot. I have a lot to be grateful for, and I'm grateful for you guys and my family and my friends for support. But man, I'm glad I have some things that I can focus on and kind of get out of my head from time to time, like my stitching, because if all I had to do was sit around and worry about people, I have plenty to worry about now. And that's not nearly as much as what other people around the world are dealing with. So again, perspective, but also giving myself the space to say, it's a lot. It's a lot. We'll all get through it. It's all kind of what happens in life, but sometimes it doesn't make it any easier to deal with. So, bleh. Did I mention I have silks? Let's just turn that subject around. And I've kind of messed up the package. I'm sorry. They were all lined up like pretty soldiers. They've kind of gotten out of whack a little bit here. So let's see if I can get them back. Crinkle, 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 crinkle. I want it to go in line, pretty in line. I don't think it's going to. Maybe that? Maybe that? Maybe? Yeah? Look how pretty. How shiny. And, I mean, I know it's in the plastic, but you can still see the luster, right? That's not just me. Well, the other interesting thing, I've been in my house. I have lived in Waxhaw, North Carolina for 10 years this week. Let's think about that for a minute. I've owned a house for 10 years. It just happened in a blink of an eye, people. My, how far we've come. So alas, it's 20 minutes. Thank you for hearing me ramble and listen to my plans and show off my things and my excitement. I hope you guys have a great week and get to do lots of stitching. Thank you in advance for all the good vibes headed to my friends and family's way. And thank you for watching. I hope that you like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this. And let's do this again. Let's meet here, same time next week. Sound good to me? Talk to y'all later. Bye.